I cannot tell you how many times I've tried doing this intro and I don't know why. I just keep like spazzing out in the middle of the introduction. But hello, I've been putting these groceries away from my just recent grocery haul at Sprouts. I realized that I have not done an updated meal prep video for you, so I thought I would do that today. So it's going to be a very casual showing you, I don't know, the process of what I do. Nothing super crazy, nothing super fancy, just a random girl on the internet showing how she manages eating slightly, like pretty healthy, I guess, while also being busy and staying active. I don't know. Those things, I guess, interest people. Definitely interest me. They're the kind of people I watch on YouTube as well. So anyway, that was the intro. Okay. By the way, if you like videos like this, health and wellness, stuff like yoga, definitely make sure you subscribe. Check out my yoga videos, my what I eat in a day videos. I like doing those. I'm just gonna go over the groceries that we got today. So I'm making like a huge batch baked thing that called for 4 pounds of chicken, except they don't have chicken and I don't use chicken. So I got 4 blocks of tofu. Hopefully that's enough. So it's 14 ounces. We know that 16 ounces is a pound, so that's close enough, whatever. It's this recipe that my coworker shared with me, and she was like, you're not gonna like it because it has chicken in it. And I was like, no, I could totally just swap out the chicken for tofu, and it just sounded amazing. So I'm just super excited to try it. It's this Marmalade Hoisin like bok choy 1-pot dish. So for that I also got some green onions, and what else for that dish? Ginger. A lot of the ingredients I already had, so I didn't get everything for that, obviously. These are just miscellaneous things that I need to have throughout the week. For instance, this red curry paste. I live with my sister and her family right now, and they love curry, Thai curry. So I got that, and we already have coconut milk, so it's perfect. Some basil. I'm also going to be making a pasta dish, like a cold pot, like basil pesto pasta dish. Avocados are obviously must. Now, I know, okay? Let's just not talk about it. Also, you know, it's okay. You know, I shouldn't be putting these right here. I should be putting them like back more. Are you enjoying this commentary? This is a side of me that you don't really get to see that often. Because I'm always talking about like dietetics, and this person was on tube feeding, but today, apples. Carrots. I love roasting these, by the way. So I'll roast like 2/3 of the bag and then have it ahead of time. Let me show you real quick. Just kidding. Just kidding. So I'm just kidding. I finished them, but sometimes I'll roast, usually, I will roast 2/3 of this bag and then just have it in a container in the fridge ready for me to go and like heat up and put on top of my like warm salads and whatnot, and like mix with veggies. This is some bok choy for that really fun recipe that my coworker sent me. And oat milk. We love drinking oat milk around here. I make it also, but we just go through it so fast that, I don't know, we just have this for backup. And my niece loves these, so I got these. There is some prep involved with the recipes that I'm going to be making tonight. So right now I'm going to soak some cashews in hot water, which I already have heated up right here. This is going to be for a basil pesto pasta salad. And then I'm also going to drain and press the tofu that I got so that it can soak up the flavors better, like of the sauce, when I'm baking it with the rest of the dish. A lot of people say that they don't like tofu because it tastes weird, but you're probably not making it right. The best way, in my opinion, to make it is to press it and then let it marinate in food, or let it marinate in sauce or dressing for a couple hours if you can help it, but if not, then pressing it does a whole big deal, and then cooking it from there, because tofu will absorb the taste that you, or like the sauce and any other flavors that you put on it, but you have to do a good job with the sauces. So yeah, I'm gonna do that and then put everything else in the kitchen away, do a couple more things around the house, and then come back and then actually start the meal prep. All right, so I tried doing a workout while I was waiting for the tofu to press and the cashews to soak. got really lazy, ended up watching a lot of nutritionfacts.org. Then I was like, I'll just eat dinner before I start cooking. So then I ate dinner, and then I watched an episode of Euphoria, which, why didn't anybody tell me that it's such a good show? Anyway, done with that. Now I'm going to start cooking, except this kitchen, I can't do anything in here right now. Tried to clean up, and then I realized it was gonna take a long time, and I do wanna get to sleep at a reasonable hour today. So what I'm gonna do is start on this first recipe. So like I said before, this recipe is originally with chicken, but you know, we don't do that here. But I saw that it would probably just be something really easy to make with not chicken. So I'm going to get started on this first, make the marinade so that it can soak in it, and then start with everything else. Then when I get everything going, I'll intermittently clean the kitchen. So it's important to be doing like many things at once while you're meal prepping to make it as efficient as possible. All right, we are gonna go into voiceover mode for this portion of the rest of the prep. So at this moment, as I'm prepping everything, I'm making the sauce for the hoisin and marmalade chicken, well, it's gonna be tofu, with baby bok choy. So in a large bowl, you're supposed to combine scallions, ginger, soy sauce, and sesame oil. So that is what I'm doing right now. Just chopping up the scallions, grating the ginger, I love fresh ginger, and then adding in the sesame oil and the soy sauce. Now, sesame oil is probably one of the only oils I cook with, just because one, I don't think we should be afraid of oil, and two, it just tastes really good. So it's mostly for the taste rather than like the oil. And for this recipe, I actually only used 2 of the blocks of tofu, so I had an extra 2 blocks, which I ended up using for a scramble later. It was just a lot of tofu for this recipe. I guess chicken cooks down, or it's heavier and not as voluminous. So I mixed the tofu into the dressing and made sure it was all covered, and then let it marinate in there while I was getting everything else ready. So for this recipe, I started with a big pan, the type that you can bake in. So I put some wild rice blend in there along with some water, and then I put it in the oven at 425 and let that bake for about 15 minutes. And while it was baking, I started cutting these carrots that I'd already washed. I don't peel my carrots because a lot of the nutrients are still in the skin, so I make sure to get organic when I can, and wash my vegetables obviously before I cut. And I love these ones because it just adds such a nice color. Fun fact, carrots were originally more purple and white and yellow than orange. So now I chopped the bok choy. You're supposed to bake it in big pieces because it's supposed to go on top of the pan. So I just cut them in half here, which I ended up later on quartering because they were so big. And still waiting for the rice, still prepping everything, I make the hoisin and marmalade sauce. It's literally just hoisin sauce and marmalade, and you mix it together. And then I coated the bok choy in the sauce. And what's cool about the sauce is that it makes a lot, so there's obviously a lot left over to drizzle on top of the rice. So now the rice is partially cooked. As I take it out after the 15 minutes, I'm just gonna stir it around here and make it even before I slap on the tofu that's been marinating for a while and the carrots. And I tried to put them into an even layer so that every scoop would get an even amount of carrots and tofu. And then I popped it back in the oven for another 25 minutes. While I was doing that, I decided to get the next dish ready, which is going to be a basil pesto pasta salad. So for this pasta, I used chickpea rotini. I like this pasta a lot. It's just chickpea flour. So it's super high in fiber, super high in protein, and I don't have to worry about getting like a protein source in the meal because it's already been covered by the chickpeas. So this is the brand that I got, and it has 11 grams of protein per 2 ounces. Who's gonna eat 2 ounces? I'm gonna eat like 7 ounces. I'm gonna bet hella protein. So for the basil pesto pasta sauce, the basil sauce is just the drained and soaked and drained cashews, the aquafaba from the chickpeas that I drained, and then basil, garlic, onion flakes, some lime juice, cumin, and I just whizzed it all up in the blender. Also added in some unflavored plant milk just to get it blending a little bit more in case it got too thick, but I didn't use all of it. And then at this time, the first round of baking for everything was done, so I took the marmalade sauce that was left over in the bowl and drizzled it on top, making sure to drizzle it on top of the rice as well. And then I put it back in the oven for another 10 minutes. Now that's in the oven, we're gonna go prep the next thing, which is chopping the onions, you know, crying a little bit. I also chopped some tomatoes, I drained the pasta and the chickpeas, and now everything is coming together in a huge bowl. And see how easy this is? I just put the sauce right on top of there, gave it a nice little mix. So it's a super chickpea, super protein, super fiber pasta salad, honestly. At this time, everything was finished baking. So I took it out of the oven and oh my gosh, it smelled so good. I was so excited for this dish. I love experimenting. But look at how colorful that is with all the carrot, bok choy, and the wild rice mix. Anyway, I had, like I told you before, leftover tofu, and I also had leftover onions. So I decided I'm just gonna make a huge tofu scramble. So I started to saute the onions, and then I added in the extra bok choy that I had left over because there was so much, and I just chopped it a little bit more fine. So I sauteed those veggies and then I put them on one side on the pan. I mashed up the tofu with a fork in another bowl, and I put that in the other side of the pan to let it brown. In the meantime, I made a little mix of cumin, some chili powder, some salt and pepper and turmeric so that I could put that into the tofu for the scramble. I mixed it with a little bit of hot water to make it nice and like a sauce so it's easier to spread onto the tofu. And once the tofu and the veggies have been cooking in the pan for about 2 minutes, I drizzled the sauce on top of the tofu, and then I mixed the sauce around the tofu until all of it was distributed on the tofu. And then I mixed all the vegetables in with the tofu scramble. And that was it, super easy done. And that concludes my meal prep for the week, I shall say. I like to have these meals, large batches, easy to make, and then I just put them in a Tupperware. So this is pretty much my process for meal prepping. It's basically making a recipe, making a huge portion of it, and then having enough as leftovers to serve myself for the rest of the week. And it's nice because all I have to do is pair it with some greens, add some seeds on top, make some rice, some potatoes to eat it with, and then we're ready to go. It really saves a lot of time and effort and really just thought, and adds a lot more variety into my diet. So I hope that watching this helped you, gave you a little bit more inspiration. The recipes that I use and my own modifications are going to be in the description below, so make sure you check that out. I hope you guys have a wonderful morning, noon, day, or night wherever you are, and I'll see you next time. Bye.